And let's start. I'm going to share. I highlight some part and please, let's see here. Please give me some idea. I mean, that's some question we can discuss.
Sure.
Let me see here. I hope that my highlight will grab some of your attention and some important things. So the brain on the silent. So we focus on the state of mental tranquility, and it was written by two doctors. One is from Harvard Medical School, another one from North Carolina University. So this is abstract. So here, that's the way he say that the mind wandering and mindfulness. So they are usually described as the two opposite mental state, right?
Right.
You're mindful of things you do. One is you let your mind wander around. Uh, so mm, for the mind wandering, yes, it's worry about the past and thinking about the future. That may interrupt uh, your work at the present moment. But for the mindfulness awareness here, it helps us to anchor ourselves with the present moment, right? So it could help us to deal with the important challenging or there is some kind of stress, anxiety, and so forth. So that's what we talk about. But the introduction here, I highlight here somehow again it mentioned about the monkey mind, right?
Right.
That's just that means the wandering mind jump from here to there with all kind of thoughts. On the opposite of that, the tranquilities and stillness of mind is believed as the reflection of our natural setting of thought and mind, of thought and emotion. So it helps us to have that type of sensory clarity and communities of affect behavior. Again, before we move on, it's so important, right? So important to have some sort of calmness in our life, no matter what, or whichever profession, occupation we have. Right? Without calmness, it's not easy for us to deal with the situation in any kind of situation, any kind of relationship. So that's why it's so important to have that type of.
Can I interject early?
Yes.
Yeah. So I give an example. With my job, I'm driving all the time, and so if my mind is distracted, wandering back and forth, it can be dangerous, So I have to, focus, when I'm driving. But also from what I got in the article, obviously the monkey mind is the jumping mind, but people talk about the flow state, like when you're so focused on a particular task, you can stay, like athletes. If you're playing football, you're so into that. Is there a correlation between the meditation and the flow?
Yeah. So, William, you want to respond? Do you understand his question?
Yes, I do understand his question.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think there it's similar because musicians will experience these states where they're so engrossed in playing the music that they lose track of themselves. Like they're no longer thinking about self or anything else. They're just so absorbed in the act of making music. Or like you said, athletes. And in meditation, when we're really present with the breath and the body's relaxed so significantly and the mind is really relaxed a lot, and so there's not an inward tension that's making like something to be resistant to, but everything is just how it is, and it's like it's pleasant and flowing. Then it's like that same, it's a similar thing of where there's nothing to be resistant to, and we're also not trying to strive anywhere else, because right where everything is, it's just like, it's complete. But it's obviously, we're talking about a difference between a lot of extroversion activity, activating muscles, using different parts of the brain very intensely, versus just passively witnessing. So it's interesting that in either of those states there can be that deep absorption.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. William, you want to say?
I understood what William was saying more than I understood it through the essay. I've always found that in my practice, I'm very troubled by the monkey mind, and that it doesn't seem to have decreased. Even though I've been practicing for about 5 or 6 years, it's still that same hopping from tree to tree, and it's only in a few moments, a few isolated moments each time that I meditate, that I am able to enter that stillness. And it was interesting in this article that I felt as though the article was telling me that I really wasn't doing anything wrong, or that I wasn't doing anything that was incomplete in regards to that the movement of the mind has its own benefits too. Is that, did I understand the article with that?
Yeah.
Was my understanding correct, Ty?
Yeah, that's, yeah. One thing I want to go back to your driving is to situation. Let's say while you're driving, okay, from destination, let's say from your house to any destination, to the school, to clients, whoever or whichever destination. Let's say if you drive from home to Hawaii, so yes, you drive into Walmart. Now these two situations, which one is more healthy? So while you're driving, and you really in tune up driving, whether the stop sign, you just stop. Whether it's the light, that is traffic light, you stop. And you follow with the flow until you get to destination. One situation, right? One scenario, right? Another scenario situation is that while you're driving, when somehow you stop by the stop sign, and somehow you in hurry, and say, "Oh no, I'm so frustrated. Why do we have this stop sign? Why do we have this traffic light?" And you're so angry, you're so frustrated with the flow. If you get into traffic, which one is more healthy? Which one?
Number one.
Yeah. Yes, said that. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. You don't have any expectation. You understand? So while you're driving, okay, if it gets stuck here, it won't be stuck forever. If it's late, nothing I can do. You understand that? But you need to know ahead of time. Let's say if you drive around Louisville and you know the traffic, you can use different route. If you know ahead of time. If you get stuck there, accident, you have no choice. Even you're angry, even you're frustrated, no use. But if you accept that, you be made calm, you made peaceful. It's more healthy. You see. So you understand that, like yeah. That was William. Like when we do meditation, yes, again, all kind of monkey mind popping up in our mind, right?
Yes.
That's troublesome. We so now this again, this two attitude. Either we accept a monkey mind or fight with our monkey mind.
Okay.
So that is the two attitude we would have. So if we accept, okay, I know I have a lot of monkey mind, I can calm them down. That's okay. It's understandable because we deal with all kind of situations in our life, especially as a professor or teacher, we write a student paper. Or in your case, you write a lot of books or information or stories. So it's this it is the what do you call all kind of rumination. There's all kind of running thoughts
Oh, okay.
popping up in our mind. It's like when when we turn the bike upside down, and we stop the pedals, but the wheel is still moving. In a sense, it takes time for the wheel to cool down, to stop. It cannot stop suddenly. Yeah, so it's normal. So again, so when we do meditation, that's just two states of mind that we use to encounter whether either we have monkey mind or all kind of thoughts popping up our mind, or we feel sleepy. And again, that's happened to everyone, no exception, until we could put some effort, like you say, that even we have a movement of stillness. This is progress there. Because without that, without meditation, we would not have that kind of stillness, that type of tranquility, that kind of calmness. So it takes time. It says time like when you study kung fu, right? Or when you lift weight, whichever, it takes time to build up that type of skill, especially deal with the monkey mind. So with my own experience, how to deal with that monkey mind, that kind of rumination. So let's say before I go to do meditation, if my body is so tired and my mind have a lot of things to concern, I will take a nap. I will take a rest. I lie down, take a rest, so that I can let everything cool down. And after that, 4, 5, or 10 minutes, even 30 minutes or an hour, after that, I can sit up to observe my breath. And with that kind of experience, I think it's more healthy. Yeah. It makes sense, Dr. William?
Yes, it does. And when you were speaking about that, it occurs to me that my trouble is not that I have the monkey mind, but that I'm troubled by the monkey mind.
Yeah. Acceptance or fighting, right? That's the problem, right? That two attitude.
Yeah.
So if we accept that, no problem. It's normal. Yeah. If we view them as a normal state of mind, we can move on. But if we say, "Oh, I'm sit so long, I practice so long, but why you guys still pop up in my mind?"
Yeah, like I did.
See, that's what that kind of attitude. Again, the fighting is troublesome for us. It just drive more anxiety. It drive more frustration. But if we accept, okay, that's normal. We know. I know you guys. Don't worry. Yeah, I recognize. Whether you pop up or not, that's okay with me. I will deal with that. I will accept that. Like while you're driving, yeah, whether it's traffic or not, that's okay. Whether someone cut you off, that's so fine. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's tough, but still, it needs us to build up our patience. It's us to build up that kind of habitual pattern. Because if something is go beyond our ability, we can control other people. What do we need to be frustrated? Nothing. It's useless. If it's in our control, yes. If we need to steer away from them, from accidents, that's in our ability. But if someone does some weird thing, that's their choice. We can't. And if the situation is there, that's their choice too. That we cannot control. We cannot change. We can change if we have the ability to change, we would put our mind and effort to do.
So, like as humans, like why do we have to control everything? Like I feel like I need to be in control because if not, something's gonna go bad, or it's like I want to, the whole world. I wish I could just have it my way.
Thân Thiện, you have that kind of, you understand his question? Thân Thiện, he say that somehow he feel that we need to be in control of everything. Is that okay, or is that healthy, or what do you think? Oh, you turn on the mic, please. Yeah, go ahead, try.
Can you hear me, Thich?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. So the question is, we need to be in control of everything?
Yes or no? Or is that healthy or unhealthy, or how, or why?
Can you define what is everything? Everything like
Let's say like you driving the car, you need to control the car, right? Like when you cook, right? You need to control your stove, right? Otherwise burn out everything. Is that in control? You need to put everything in control. That's it when it's just the assemble.
oh. So we cook what we think. We do what we think we are doing, and we behave because of what we are thinking. To be in control. I think if you have the right intention and the right thought, and you can be able to do what you think is right to do, and that's a good control. If you have a wrong intention and your mind have a lack of thought and you have emotions, it's likely that you are likely to have a bad perception, and you are not in control of yourself because and you are likely to do something that is very bad, and you will create a bad karma. That's how I understand. Yeah,
Thank you. Anand, you driving, or can you talk, or what do you think?
Yes, I can say a few things.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's a natural. I think it's very natural for us as human beings to in control. Like Thich mentioned, if you have the right intention to control something, that, let's say for cooking, to drive a car, to operate machines, you have the right intention. Make sure it operates safely. It's safety. It under control, so on and so forth. That is good. But let's say if you're trying to cook something with the right intention, but it didn't turn out correctly, but tastes incorrectly, it tastes terrible, then you're out of control at that time. If people eat your food and they say, "Oh, that tastes terrible," well, at that time you're not in control. So at that point, you are no longer in control. So at that point, I learned that is not in my ability to control what other people taste, feel, or react to it. Okay. So at that point, I would say I learned to say that their reactions, I have no control over it. So therefore, I would say, no, it's not good to be in control of what they feel or other people feel. I can only control what I feel. So that's why I think about it.
Yeah, thank you. How about William? What do you think? In your situation, when the patient come to see you, what do you think about that type of controlling? Is it healthy, unhealthy, or neither, or what? What do you think?
Everyone seems to have their own balance of how much control they want their physician to have. If some people are given too many choices, it's kind of anxiety provoking for them. They want the doctor to say, this is what you should do. And then other people don't want the doctor to tell them what to do at all. They want to be educated and they want an opinion, but no matter what, they're going to make their own choice. I think if I fix myself and say that for every person that comes in, I'm going to try to exert the same level of control, then that desire to control ends up controlling me. I think if we try to dominate, we end up being dominated by our desire to dominate. So then we have to start doing all of these things to try to be effective at control. And instead, I think there's a flow, and because to say I'm controlling, then I have to really pin down what am I, and I'm a coming together of a lot of different things, and being successful at a task, it's dependent upon not just a desire to control. It's really dependent upon presence. So if there's anything I need to control, and I wanted to share this earlier in the conversation, so it's cool because I have the opportunity now. It kind of connects in. It's that if we use the microcosm of meditation, like the example of meditation and exerting control there. If I want to control the mind too much, I'm going to be angry when I can't control it, or frustrated. But if I acknowledge that there is a sort of flow that's present and the mind is slowly settling down, so I accommodate the emotions when they happen, because I don't notice when I become distracted. I just become distracted. Like I think all of us, we just become distracted. The control that we have is in the moment we notice that we were distracted. And at that moment, the pathway to return to our focus is completely unobstructed. All we have to do is, it's as simple as like touching our nose. Like we can simply return to the focus. We don't need to spend any time beating ourselves up or trying to figure out what happened or trying to prevent it from happening again. All of that is like an attempt to control would actually make us less effective. If we, like you said, Tay, if we accept that we're going to have these wanderings of the mind and we don't spend another instant on it, we simply redirect to what our focus is, then I think that's our best chance to be as effective as possible. Now, I'm not great at that all the time. I mean, we like driving sometimes, like I'll think of something that I want to text. So at a stoplight, I'll like quickly voice text something, or I'll want to turn the radio on and just have something that matches the kind of rate my mind's going. But I do, like, I notice when I do that, I pay for it. Like I hit a pothole the other day, and so now I have to replace my tire and my rim. And if I'd been paying a little bit more attention, I wouldn't have hit that pothole, and I would have saved myself a lot of money and a little bit of time.
So here, that's connection with what we just discussed about, again, acceptance. While you're driving the car, you try to control the wheel. You try to control the situation while you're driving, right? You try not to hit or bump to other people's cars. And when you get closer, you scare. You be frightened, right? But what happened if you let go of that controlling attitude? Yeah, just go with the flow. Just accept whichever thing happening. Just try, let's put it this way. Remember the times that we first sat in the car and drive the car? It's so stupid, right? But now because of our driving skill, we develop for many years. We don't need to remind ourselves, oh, we need to turn the signal to the left, turn the signal to the right. We don't need to tell ourselves to press the pedals. No, automatically it will part of our direction while we're driving. We say, oh, turn left signal, oh, turn right signal. What happened? We'll be tired soon. You see that? So that's why it's better to go with the flow, to remain calm, to remain peaceful. Like William did mention, if you think you want to control the situation, you want to dominate the situation will dominate you. You understand that? So again, you recognize whether it's healthy or not. You see? So that's why it's no matter what situation, we may not use the word controlling, but we may say, oh, confident. Absolute confident that I can handle that things. I can handle my driving. I can handle my cooking. I can handle my riding, and so forth. Instead, oh, I have to control my driving, to my riding, my eating, and so forth. You understand that? Sometimes wouldn't may affect our mind too. You understand that? So that's no matter what. Again, like Thân Thiện and Mr. An just mentioned too. Yes, we need to have some mindset in too. Oh yeah, we don't want to harm others. We try our best to help other people. We try our best to live in a healthy way. With that attitude, we just follow with the flow. No matter what happens. Let's say again, while we were driving the car on the road, suddenly a deer appeared. What happened then? It's happened to me once when I was driving on the freeway. So when the deer somehow, it was frightened to stand in the middle of the lanes, and somehow, fortunately, I could swing my car to the right side. Otherwise, I would hit that. And what happened if somehow you hit them accidentally? It's out of control. And of course, it may break your windshield, whichever. Again, whichever thing happen, if it's out of our control, out of our ability, just accept that and just go with the flow. That's why, let me go back here in the passage of this article, right here. Let's see here. Let me go down here. What do you call non? Okay. Let me find out that sentence. That's, I mean that you don't need to drag in the way that you think that may disturb your mentality, disturb your peacefulness, and you can accept that. It's this non action, and I think last time we talked about, I think it's better to have this type of understand. Yeah, please be with me. And let me pull out the 7 attitudes that the secular mindfulness they advocate. I think I showed last time. 7 attitudes of mindfulness. This one here. Yeah, let me share the screen with you. Here, non-striving. Non-striving doesn't mean that you don't do anything. No, just go with the flow. It helps us to reduce the degree of expectation. It helps us to deal with what we call controlling, or try to control and try to dominate something, especially even within our ability to handle. it still create a lot of pressure. It still create a lot of frustration if we could not do that. We could not control that. You understand that?
In the Taoist religion, they call it Wu Wei, like doing, not doing.
That's the point.
Yeah.
You do, but you don't attach yourself that you're doing. That's a sort of attachment too. Like while you're driving, you say, okay, I have confidence I can handle my car. This is quite different from, I have to control this car no matter what. You understand that? With the brake, with the wheel, and so forth, with the windshield when it's raining, what happened? If there's something wrong, we cannot see. We need to stop and so forth. You understand that? That's one way. That's non-striving there. It's less burden for our mind. That's the meaning. That may help us to have that kind of tranquility, that kind of calmness. Does that make sense, Dr. William? What do you think about that?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
Oh, okay. I've been thinking about that in relation to my two jobs, both as a university teacher and as a novelist.
Yeah.
And in what I do, the success of what I do depends in some ways on other people. It depends on the students. It depends on my readers. And we're finishing up classes this week. And I had 2 students to submit work near the end of the week. And with one of them, I could see how much he had learned in the class. And with the other, there'd been absolutely nothing that he had learned. And yet they'd seen the same presentations, the same lectures. They'd done the same assignments. So there's a relief in being able to let them do their work. And then I don't have to control it all. That they do what they can do. I've done my part. And that's really enough.
Yeah, that peace of mind. That's my attitude. We try our best. I try my best to encourage them, to give them the chance to make up their assignment, or even, have a policy that I would not subtract any points for late submission.
Yeah.
Other profession, there's no way. But for me, I value the quality of their work than the quantity. I don't give them the pressure to write. I give them some more space to move around so that they can determine their own rate. And if they put a lot of effort in doing that, definitely they would get a good rate. If they don't, that's out of my choice. That's out of my control. So we need to recognize which one is more healthy, right? So in any kind of situation, let's say in the relationship, if you try to control your spouse, right, your girlfriends, you try to control whoever you're doing with, that's unhealthy. They have their own space. They have their own way of life to do things. And we have our own way of life. We don't want other people to control us. So do they. They don't want us to control them. So that's more healthy with that kind of respect. And even in the items, even like the cars that we are driving, like the food that we're eating, we just try our best to do things that may bring beneficial for us and may bring benefit for other people. We try our best, like you mentioned, right? You try your best to cook the food, and like and you mentioned, right? And somehow people may have different tastes. They have different opinions. We have no choice. We cannot control that. In order to control it, yes, we cook the food. It's that kind of food can be eatable. For me, of course, I am not good cook, so so I just try my best to cook things that I can handle. And if other people can cook delicious food, that's great. You understand that? So the point is, if we in our ability to do, we have that confidence to handle the situation. But when you do things, don't try to control things. Don't try to, in a sense, attach to them too much. You may be frustrated if the outcome come out that's maybe against your wish. I used to tell my student, when you walk into the room to take the test, don't attach to the test. Don't expect that you have good grade. Just do the test with all your ability and knowledge. You understand that? Otherwise, they'll be frustrated if they get bad grade. That's why, for me, I don't want to give my student the multiple choice. They're stressful. Nó chip, you say, hit and run. Some students, they may be lucky to pick up the right answer, but they may not understand much about the answer. For me, it's unfair. When it was in college, it's unfair. So that's why I usually, or up to now, I give them the essay questions so that they can have time to think about, so they can handle the situation within their ability, not to control the situation, so that I could know their knowledge more instead of pressuring them doing those things. It makes sense? Right. So that's why we can handle our calmness and peacefulness in that kind of situation. And in this article, we talk about non-duality. William, you understand that term, non-duality? Why is that? Is that applicable in our life, or is this so abstract? What do you think?
I think it's applicable in the sense of not, one way it can manifest is not entering into judgment.
Yeah.
So let me think of a good example. So if I think about fairness, and I'm thinking about like the difference between my fiance and I, and are we both, contributing equally to our lives, the household, whatever it is. At times I might think like, oh, like, okay, I'm not doing good enough with cleaning, and I'll feel kind of bad about that. Or I might focus on, oh, she's not doing enough with whatever else. And so then I'll feel frustrated about that, because I'm in a comparison about her and me. So that's duality. And then I'm also thinking about fairness and unfairness. And I'm going in and I'm assessing it. And I'm looking at a piece of the picture as opposed to the whole big picture. And so when I notice that tendency and I let it go, things are flowing. I feel good. There's not stress. There's not strain. But even if I go a little bit into it, like if I really think I'm right and she's wrong, so another element of duality, if I base my interaction with her on that, it's going to be bad. Like it always ends up leading to, even if I think it's so clear, I think it's so obvious, but as soon as I'm like trying to make her wrong and I get to be right, neither of us come out of that conversation feeling as good as we did before. So I think one way to make non-duality practical is an absence of judging about right and wrong, but more of understanding, being open-minded, not trying to, not trying to compare things and think about fairness and right and wrong and such. Obviously, on a certain level, we need right and wrong. Like we need laws, we need systems, but on the level I'm speaking about, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, Dr. William. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with so much of what William was saying. We tend to think in dualities. It comes natural to us to think this or this. It's this way or that way. But along with that always comes, or too often comes, I can't say always, too often comes that tendency to prefer one term over the other. You know, we have night and day. Well, the next step is that we're going to think one of those is better. Oh, daytime's better, you know, or nighttime's better. And if you can dwell in that place where you see them not as either or, but as both and they tend to complete one another, it brings us away from that kind of judgment that that frustrates us, that really does us no good, that prevents us from entering that kind of flow that we've been talking about.
Yeah. So in your writing the novel, right?
Yes.
It's easy for you to focus if you go with the flow of your writing, right?
Oh yes. Yes.
So how about when you try to pick and choose some terms and some vocabulary? Is it troublesome or what do you think?
I usually do that in two stages. I work with the story as a whole and try not to start making those little choices. I go with the flow much more as I'm making the story. And sometimes I will look up and realize that 4 hours have passed, and and it surprises me because it seemed like no time. In the next stage, I begin to make some choices, and I choose. I think less spontaneously and more in the sense of calculating and trying to decide what works best. So I come back to this good and bad because I have to, like William was saying, we have laws. There's also things that you have to do in terms of whatever it is that you do. Certain actions are preferable to others, but we're talking at a different level there. We're talking at a practical level. You don't put too much salt in your cooking because that's makes it not taste good. So there's several levels in which you work. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm moving away from the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. So again, in the conventional level, so I guess let's say while we are driving the cars, we need to follow the rules, follow the law, to stop at the traffic stop sign, view other people in different situations and so forth. But somehow, again, another level is that yes, go with the flow is much healthy, and if we put aside our judgment, right? I think we discussed before, it's more healthy too. So that the important is to help us to remain calm. With that kind of calmness, we can see things more clear. If we try to judge our people in our views, according to our views, and if this go against our view, yes, we be frustrated if they don't follow us, or be excited if they follow us. So we make that type of fluctuation in our mind. Understand that? So here, let me go back here. The passage, it talk about open monitor meditation. So according to the classical Buddhist meditation, a restful mind is the one that requires concentration. It is calm, alert, and holding an object or a stream object in effortless awareness. You understand effortless awareness? And Anand, you understand that term? And let me show one more time. Yeah. Here, you understand here. A restful mind is one that requires concentration. It is calm, alert, and holding an object or stream of objects in effortless awareness.
The terms, you can read it, but to really live the moment is, I would say, difficult. Okay,
Yes.
but I guess the more practice, I can give an example of what I would say effortless. It requires a lot of practice, but when you get to that point, you probably a lot of practice already. So, for example, we were talking about driving, right? So recently, I just practicing meditation just to remind myself mainly. So when I drove to work, it's about 40 miles that I have to drive down to downtown Indianapolis, and I was driving normal speed, 55 miles, and then one guy came by and he just like anxiously want to pass me, and he drove by, and when he go by, he looked at me, he flipped his finger at me, and usually my normal tendency would be react, look at him, and I would anxiously want to respond back in a normal human being, swearing and go after him, stuff like that. But suddenly my mind remind myself that, hey, it's all right, I am control of myself here. I learned to just chill out, just like I sense that my anger kind of like a gas pedal. I know if I'm going to respond, I can see what would happen the next couple of minutes after that. I would go after his car, so on and so forth. So I realized that I saw that gas pedal, suddenly just keep maintaining it there. But it's effortlessly, but I'm aware that my emotion gonna go somewhere if I'm gonna step on the gas pedal. So for that, I would say, I wouldn't say it's effortlessly, but it required me to like actively thinking about my the consequence of my action. It might happen, but I can see it though. I can see it coming if I were to react to it. So that's one way of I can say, if the ultimate goal is to get to effortlessly, that is automatic, like a memory, a muscle. You can do a golf swing, you know exactly you hit, you're gonna go there. But this time, I have to do some action, to get my mind and my body and my whole sensory response to calm down, to be calm, rather than a natural reaction to be calm. So that's why I can give my perspective on it, a little experience I have.
Yeah. Well, William, what do you think when you give the treatment to the patient? What do you think about having the effort to be aware of things that you provide the treatment, or you may not need much effort on that awareness? What's the difference then?
Yeah, this is something I'm growing in more and more, and the teachings within osteopathy are pretty awesome, where when you listen to some of the old osteopaths, they're saying things exactly like, Buddhist monks and Zen masters say, where the ideal state for me in treatment is neutral, where I'm neutrally present. I'm aware of the phenomena that, are in my field of awareness, and I don't attach myself to any of the phenomena. I don't even attach myself to a goal, but that I'm aware of what is. And there's kind of two things that I can anchor my mind with. It's the position of ease for the patient. So where does the body naturally want to settle with precision? It's like even a small amount of force will balance it. Sometimes it takes more. And it's just based on the tension in the connective tissue. And then the inherent motion within the body, the motion that's already present, that doesn't have anything to do with me. And I can anchor in those two things, and then in them feel the health of the body. And if I'm looking too hard, then what I end up doing is, if I think I know where to look, then I can block out something that can be very important. Or if I'm like totally distracted and I'm not even there present, I can also miss something that's important. So it's just like meditation. And that's like, in that state, the healing force that's within the body, that doesn't, it's not me doing the healing, but something happens when there's this, like with the intention I have and the connection that's there, it opens a door for that healing force. And then it's like the structure, it's like a flower that's like in the sun, and it just starts kind of slowly opening up. And if I want to rush it, if I'm trying to make that flower go faster, it's not going to open up. It's everything's going to kind of shut down. So there are some other ways to treat too, but the other ways to treat, where there's more control and there's more trying to make things happen, they end up stressing out the person doing the treating. So then at the end of the treatments, that person feels fatigued and feels tense. And so I do a little bit of that sort of stuff here and there, just because it's hard to not do some of it, because the idea that I need to do something, I need to make something happen, is so like strong and deeply ingrained. It's just taking time for me to let go and trust more. But it's like more and more, it really is very similar to meditation.
Yeah, wow, that's wonderful.
Mm.
You understand that?
Mhm.
Yeah, how about Dr. William, when you write the books, right, the novels, whatever you write in, you understand the difference between having the effortless awareness, or you recognize the effort with that awareness. You recognize the differences?
Yes, and I guess I'm older than anybody else in this conference.
Hmm.
And I have found, as I've grown older, that certain parts of the writing become more effortless. There are
Yeah.
things I don't have to consider now that I'm in my 60s that I did have to consider when I was in my 30s, largely because I have more experience in doing things that come second nature to the kind of work that I'm doing. I know that those moments that I was speaking about, where you look up and you've been working for 4 hours, I know that they're almost always very productive times, because what I see on the page after those times is usually better work than work that I have to control and steer and direct. That doesn't mean that I don't go back and revise all of it, but those moments at which there is the kind of flow that we've been talking about come on a lot of occasions. And I find afterwards, looking back, that the product of those times is usually some of my better work.
Mhm. Yeah. So again, when we are in restful situation, I mean that
Yeah.
our mind is restful, we have more energy,
Yeah.
physically and mentally. And if we push ourselves too much, if we are in control, we try to control too much, we be exhausted after we're done with the writing, we're done
Yeah.
with the writing, we're done with anything. So that's why when you even, yes, we are mindful with this, but can't go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's what called effortless awareness. And you recognize the difference between the effortless awareness and something somehow that you recontrol. You see the difference?
Yeah, I can see the difference.
You know, how is that applicable in your work? Like while you deal with the customer or do the presentation, whichever you feel that's applicable. What do you think?
I have to think about it because it's not natural for me to think about in this setting. But yeah, I mean, if to talk about there's a big effort now in corporate America, because of all these issue about social injustice and stuff like that. So, for example, we have a big effort at our company. It's called diversity and inclusion. Okay, so in order to invite people to the table to share their thoughts and ideas, you want to make sure diversity of thoughts and perspective and so on and so forth. So historically, the company I work with, it tend to be very conservative and less cultural change. So for a person like myself, for example, I have to turn on, turn off my own natural state. Okay, so I have to make an effort to, hey, when I come to work, I have to turn on the corporate America on through, you know. So I have to be, as an Asian, I don't typically naturally myself, I want to be, quiet, less personality a yeah, I have to be more reserved. So I have to turn on in the back of my mind, and for me to be in control of myself, to be climbing the ladder of corporate America. I have to be ask a lot of questions, uh, do a lot more leadership that is not in my natural state. So now, as I get older, and the more I reflect on some of these Buddhism perspective, also uh, lifestyle, I realize that I'm not being who I am. I'm not happy. The more I'm trying to be something else that is not in a natural state of myself, I'm not happy. And the more I'm trying to do something that is out of my control, the less I'm be successful at who I am as a natural person. So I say, as I'm older now, like Dr. William Michael say, I don't, quote unquote, from a natural say, I don't care anymore. I don't care about what people think about me. I don't give a, four-letter word. I don't give a
Yeah.
blank anymore. I just be who I am and do the best that I can in the way that I can control, in the best that I can to help people to move along what corporate America want me to do. But I don't want to change who I am, and that would be out of my comfort zone, out of my own natural state. I'm water. I need to be calm. I don't want to be like fire, for example, to be on fire, to be good at it. So I have to be aware of that. I think that piece of it is still very difficult to be ingrained in your body, and been working with corporate America for 30 some years. It's difficult to kind of do away with it, I think. But learning this helped me to kind of be aware. But I think the more important for me is probably practice it more so than just awareness of it.
Yeah. How about you, Thân Thiền? When you work at the company, you feel that you need to be in control of everything, or to go with the flow? What do you think?
Yeah, most I say. I don't need to be in control. I go with the flow, and I do with the work what I've been doing. Yeah. So I just work without any judgment. And sometimes if there's something come up and I have to make judgment because something that doesn't seem right in my work, and I have to talk to with other people and we discuss about it, and in order to make the project to work. And there are some projects that I just go with the flow and I don't stuck at a certain point. Yeah, more precise. Yeah.
Exactly. See, that's why we train our mind by doing breath meditation. We can follow our breath effortlessly. That means we don't force our breath. Like we don't force the air in, we won't force the air out. We just go with the flow with our breath. You understand that? With that kind of training with ourselves, it's easy for us to go with that type of pattern in our life. That's why meditation is so important. That's my training. We to train our mind physically and mentally, go with the flow with whichever thing we're happy. We accept who we are. We feel comfortable with who we are. You understand? Like Mr. An just mentioned, right? With more than 30 years of working out there, sometimes we get lost. But now, as much as we understand that if we try something that go beyond our ability, we stress out, we lost ourselves. But if we try our best to do things with our ability, and that's what we can do, we feel more comfortable with that type of peace, with that type of calmness. That's why we reserve our energy. That's why we can transform the stress, anxiety, and so forth. That's why I'm more peaceful. You understand now? Yeah. Okay. So that's wonderful. That's why I think for the whole articles, I love this one. I love this passage. So a restful mind, remember please, is the one that you require concentration, you have the kind of awareness, but it should be effortless. You focus on the object, but you don't attach to, you don't try to control the object. You don't try to control your driving. You don't try to control your breath. That's why some people at first, when they do breath meditation, they feel that they control their breath. It's so heavy on their chest. It's so heavy. It's so stressful. But now again, just let it go. Just let the flow of your air come in and out of your body. You feel more at ease. You understand that? So again, it's that the foundation of how we live our life, how we go with the flow, instead of being control or control all the situation, or instead of expecting that we want to. Make sense? Okay. So since time up now, so okay. So Dr. William, you like that article versus somehow especially some medical term, it's not easy to understand, right? I will try my best to find the easy article later on that may relate to our topic next time. Then.
You know, hi, I have a question. If you don't mind, I have one
Yeah,
question.
please. Yeah, please.
Relate to the article. I'm not sure is it the right setting to ask this question, but on page 9.
Okay.
Okay, on page 9 after the quote, the 99. Okay, if you go to page 9 after the quote is 99, note 99. Page 9. Okay, right there, and then right there you have the same. Okay, in that sentence say understandably. Okay, the state of awakening is highly contextualized in the school of Buddhism from which they are originally described, and there has yet to be objective evidence for this reproducibility of this state. So are we? Is this author saying that they don't have any evidence yet to confirm or to to validate that this state that we are talking about, the state of the ultimate goal of Buddhism, right? You see the ultimate goal to be unwholesome state,
Yeah.
and does that mean that maybe it's the scholarly debate, or is it something that so I take that back a little bit when I read that. I said, oh, really? So there's no evidence that of reproducibility of this state, or people have not practiced enough about this to write that statement.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But
You know what I'm saying? Because they say on me that it's not reproducible. But if they're not practicing, how would they know that it's not reproducible? I'm just
yeah,
kind of curious of your perspective as a practicing monk yourself. And
yeah,
then for us to read this as more like a theoretical, but we're not really practicing as deeply as most of the monk or Buddhist monk, for example.
yeah.
How would you take that?
Yeah, actually, I think this in some part they mentioned that they have some kind of measurement about the
level.
the levels of attainments. Let me find out that.
In the conclusion, they actually say something like that. In the discussion section, they talk about, there's some increasement of measurement and things like that. But I was surprised when I read through that kind of.
Yeah, let's see. Again, yes, right now, somehow we still have some thing to do that even they have the MRI to measure the brain activities.
Yep.
But they have some tools, I think. Let's see here. They can measure certain attainments, certain meditative state of mind. I think.
I think they did test a monk who practiced this for years, I think, and they saw some some medical differences, and they documented a monk in I don't remember what page that on there, but I remember they actually test there's a monk that had practicing it at certain meditations.
Yeah, right here. Here, the stasis of jhana, that's means the meditative state of mind.
Yep. This monk right here. Yep.
So in one functional MRI, electrical encephalography, EEG, case study of long-term Sri Lanka practitioner who was able to progressively move through each stages of form and formless of absorption practice. So they have that EEG instrument to measure that state of mind, the state of mind that they attain, that meditative state of mind there. So, yes, in one way that for the experienced or the advanced meditators, they could attain to that state of mind. But now we may have this kind of instrument available to measure that state of mind. And of course, in other ways, they may not have that kind of equipment yet. You understand that? So in some way that they could measure, in other ways, I mean that in let's say how could we measure that someone have attained enlightenment?
Yeah.
Not yet. They don't have that equipment yet. Yes, Dr. William?
Yes, reproducibility. From what I remember just about basic writing classes, reproducibility is a kind of specific scientific term. Can we recreate the situation or the effect in a laboratory? Or can we recreate the situation or the effect just, for example, if you are going through the levels that they talk about, can I measure this and then do it myself? And I think when they say it's not reproducible, they're talking about something more simple that would be reproduced in a laboratory. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Which, of course, they can't. It's a much more complicated thing, and based on a lot of things that are more than physiological.
Yeah. It somehow, let's go back to your question, and then yes, without pattern, some monks, some nuns, or even any lay people can spend time to achieve that state of mind.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not cannot be reproduced, but somehow, if someone can attend to that state of mind, if we have the available instrument, we can measure that.
Yeah, yeah. You can notice it and you can measure it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can reproduce it.
Yes, but somehow, even everyone has different skill, but somehow, as much as we attend to that state of mind, there's some similarity there that we can recognize, that we get up to that levels. It makes sense, Anand? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure what this author intent is when he mentioned that statement.
Yeah.
I believe that there is way that you can measure the state of mind.
Yes.
MRI or electrophysiology stuff that you can do all these nowadays. There's a lot of ways. I know it's the different state of mind that the brain wave and so on and so forth. They can measure all that, the difference in the mind and the state of mind and so on and so forth. But I'm surprised that author actually wrote that statement in there that there's no objective evidence to have. To me, I read that as something. It cannot be validate or prove that there's a state that exists. You know, and the disciple would say like, why would he say something like that?
That's probably.
And at the end later, you know, I saw that sentence on the monk in Sri Lanka. So I was wondering about that statement there.
That's why, you know, as much as you don't practice, you don't know what's going on. You can use equipment.
Theoretical,
until you sit down and practice. You understand that? So for the scholar, they don't have that kind of experience. They write in beautifully, but they don't have much experience in sitting in meditation. They don't have the ability to attend to that statement. That's why I think the author put that sense in there.
Just from what I'm seeing, like, it's just like his opinion in that one sentence. What we have to take from it is like we have the opportunity to meditate. You know.
Yeah. So we cannot reproduce. We can have that ability to attend to that state of mind because we are practitioner. But for them, especially the author, this article is his scholar. He can provide evidence and so forth, but he may not have much experience in meditative state of mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you. All right. See you next week then. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. More for time.